Hey friends, it's Lori. Before today's show starts rolling, I want to make sure you know about our most popular ebook at theproducemoms.com, Science Fair and STEM Projects. This free ebook offers 15 science fair and STEM projects using fruits and vegetables. It's perfect for students, educators, and parents alike. We provide the supply list and step-by-step instructions for each project from start to finish. Of course, it's up to you and the students to find the conclusion. The Produce Moms Science Fair and STEM Projects ebook has been recognized by the National Science Teachers Association, and it is available to our podcast fans as a free download. Visit theproducemoms.com/science to claim your copy today. Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Produce Moms Podcast. We have a very special guest today, Missy Shaaphok from Taco Bell. I don't know about you, but I do love Taco Bell. I think I'm not alone, actually. 46 million weekly customers at Taco Bell, and Missy serves them all. As the manager of global nutrition and sustainability at Taco Bell, she is a registered dietitian. She has an impressive resume that includes so many different channels within the food supply chain, other restaurants, public health. She did a lot of impressive work for the American Red Cross. And now, of course, she's serving the masses, literally, through her work at Taco Bell. So, Missy, welcome, and thank you for being a guest on the Produce Moms Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. So I'm thrilled to have you. Missy and I actually had a chance to meet recently at the Produce Marketing Association's food service conference in Monterey. And it was like a total fangirl moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been a Taco Bell fan since I was like 14, but I know I'm not alone on that. My goodness, 46 million weekly customers. That's mind-boggling.
It's quite impressive, yes. Quite a few people who come in through those restaurant doors.
That's right. And so your title, Missy, is the manager of global nutrition and sustainability at Taco Bell. You know, a lot of people probably never would have put the words nutrition and Taco Bell in the same sentence. Educate us. How do you bring nutrition and sustainability to Taco Bell?
Well, you're not the first person to have that response. I love actually getting people's reaction when I tell them that first I'm a dietitian and then I work for Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. And then when I layer on my title, I get, a very, very interesting expression for most people. So it is quite fun to observe. But very simply put, I make tacos and burritos a little bit better for you. And, what I love about working for Taco Bell is that no one day is ever the same. One day I could be in the kitchen working on all kinds of new menu innovations or ingredient improvements, and the other day I could be traveling and presenting at a conference or building out the strategic roadmap for global nutrition sustainability. So it's a super interesting environment to work in. The food industry is so fun. And I have a small team that helps bring to life the work that we do. So we've done a lot of work over the years to provide customers with ingredients that are easy to understand and responsibly sourced. And we have a lot of experts that we consult with in the field to really help bring this to life, anywhere from removing artificial colors and flavors from our ingredients, to reducing sodium, to limiting added sugar across our beverage portfolio, all the way to introducing cage-free eggs to our menu, or only using certified sustainable palm oil, or only serving chicken that only uses or does not use any antibiotics important to human medicine. So we have to think beyond just ingredients right now and just what's on the menu, because people are starting to care more about not just how things taste, but they also want to know that the food is good for them and it's also good for the world. So we have to stay on top of all that work.
Yeah, the story behind our food has never been more important. And so that's fascinating. And that's certainly some of that work that you just described, such as, making sure that you're finding the right types of farms and, knowing the story about how the food that is served at Taco Bell is raised and sourced. That is what I would certainly put under that sustainability silo within your.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, just so everyone understands, how do you guys define sustainability at Taco Bell? I mean, we've certainly talked about it extensively at TPM. And the way I typically describe it is, hey, sustainability is really when you start looking at that triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit.
Yep. Yeah. So the framework is pretty consistent across the board. It's just how you talk about it. So
Sure.
For us, we've made a lot of progress over the years, but now we have a new framework actually, and Yum just launched their new corporate social responsibility report or sustainability report, which is we're now, as a Yum brand, which covers Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell, we're going to holistically focus on food, people, and planet when it comes to nutrition and sustainability, because
Right.
all of those issues are so connected. And it's not just about the environment. It's about, how the ingredient was sustainably grown. It's about how your buildings are made. It's about how you treat your community and your people. And it's also the nutrition that you bring to the table as well. So we're able to make a much more positive impact when we're focusing on all these issues together.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. So, speaking of nutrition, hey, you're a registered dietitian and no big deal. You're just serving 46 million customers a week. But so I'd love to ask you this. Missy, we've had some other dietitians on the show, Jackie London from Good Housekeeping, Allison Kuhn from Kroger. And I've asked them both this question. And they answered it differently. But which is every answer. There's no wrong answer really to this, but I'd love to know how you answer the question. How do you define nutrition?
That's a great question. And I think I heard one of your other podcasts, and I can't remember who it was, and they said it's not nutrition until it's eaten, which is obviously so true. And I love that term.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about nutrition a little differently, especially as my role has evolved at Taco Bell. And I feel like nutrition just doesn't do the word justice anymore. Because when people hear nutrition, they just think, oh, it's calories and stuff for food. But that's such a small component now of the work that goes into the world of nutrition. I almost feel like the word needs to be rebranded or something. Because to me, it's so much more than just, what people typically think. And to me, it's more of a combination of science and emotion, because the science aspect takes into account, how the food is grown and the macro micro nutrient makeup and the functionality of the ingredients and how they work together, like how the combination of rice and beans make a complete protein with all those essential amino acids. Whereas emotionally, everyone has a personal and cultural connection to food, and they also have an opinion. But that's the joy of food and nutrition, is that it's that connection with food and culture that brings out the enjoyment and fun in eating and consuming that food that nourishes our body. So, we want food to taste amazing and look colorful, but most importantly, we want to feel good about eating it. So for me, the nutrition includes a variety of ingredients and textures and color and flavor, but it needs to be tasty. And I think that's the hard part for a lot of people, is when they think, oh, in order for me to eat healthy, the food isn't going to taste good, but the food can taste amazing. The tricky part is, I think, for people having fun and getting creative with fruits and vegetables and making them, look and taste sexy and craveable. So that's where the fun part can come into food. But I really feel like it's a really combination of things.
I love that. I've never had someone really bring up that emotional component of, defining nutrition. And it is so important. I love that you brought it up. We often, if you look in my personal media archives or in some of the work that we've put forward at the Produce Moms, a tagline that I say all the time is, hey, food is culture. Mm-hmm. Food is how celebrate life, right? And I love that you're kind of bringing in that you are with your definition of nutrition, you're bringing in that component of food, the fact that it is our culture, it's how we celebrate, it's how, we enrich not just our bodies but our lives, and I love that that's part of your definition. That's fantastic, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of culture, you've got to put on a real big lens when you make decisions for global nutrition and sustainability at Taco Bell, considering the volume of customers and folks that you are serving in your role. So 46 million customers. I mean, how do you create menu items that satisfy the needs of this type of number? I mean, this is an amazing statistic. I keep saying it because it totally is like mind-boggling. But I mean, what trends or science or, what do you study, Missy, to make sure that you're putting forward work that's going to appeal to the masses?
Well, let me tell you, we have quite an extensive internal team that is constantly listening and engaging with our customers and fans. And we are constantly testing new ideas, and we're always putting them in front of our consumers. So we're doing this pretty much every day with new ideas, new concepts. We're monitoring trends that are happening in the industry. I mean, we have a lot of teams that this is solely what they do. And, part of the food innovation that I work on within Taco Bell is we work on a smaller segment of what these consumers are interested in, but across the board, we're listening to all of them. But I think when you pull back a little bit, when you look at the customers that walk into our restaurant, we're pretty much serving everybody. All ages, all demographics. So pretty much everyone walks into our restaurant. And so when you think about creating a new menu item for our customers, we have to think about how it can be broadly appealing for all of our customers across 7,000 restaurants across the US. So we're always engaging with them and always listening. And we have a great team that is gathering data and insights to really drive us in the right direction. But when you think about our brand and who we really cater to, we cater to different lifestyles and eating occasions. So we have breakfast, we have snacking, we have late night. So those are different eating occasions that people come to our restaurants for. But we're also a lifestyle brand. So we need to offer choice and options that people can feel good about. So the things that I look for, making sure that we're offering things like high protein items like our power menu, or something that's lower in calorie or lower in fat, like our fresco menu, or offering things that don't have gluten in them or that are vegetarian. So we have all these options that cater to all these different lifestyles for whoever wants to come to us for that specific eating occasion.
Yeah, that's amazing. And as you were describing those different menu options, it's like I've got this mental checklist going, and I'm like, yes, I've ordered off of all of these different menu items, and I can connect the dots directly to all these different food trends. Like if you're really, counting calories and doing low fat, the fresco menu that you mentioned. If you're, on the keto diet, then the high protein, low carb. If you are vegetarian, obviously that's I feel like Taco Bell, and honestly, since I've been bragging about you being an upcoming guest on the Produce Moms podcast, anything on Facebook that relates to Taco Bell, I've been getting tagged on it.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, and there was recently, it was shared by Thrillist. It's primarily a men's media advocate or aggregate site, and it was shared on Thrillist, and it says Taco Bell is the healthiest fast food restaurant. And I'll tell you what, Missy, I wholeheartedly agree with that. You can get a fresh, healthy meal at Taco Bell, and it doesn't matter what kind of diet you're abiding by. Just like Missy said, you guys, there is a menu option for everyone there.
Yeah, that's great too. I love that you're getting tagged in these things. I get tagged on a few as well. It's quite entertaining to see what's out there. But you bring up a really good point. I mean, we and the other thing about our menu is that anything can be customized. So if you don't like a certain ingredient there, you want to swap it for something else, you can totally do that. And that's where that customization piece really helps dial that in even further to whatever lifestyle that you're following. So, and then part of my job too, I really want to make eating well the easy and convenient choice for you. And so we've launched a couple other things that I think are really helping move the needle and giving customers some more flexibility with how they eat. And through our mobile app, and when you order online, there's these quick customization buttons that you can use when you're making changes to your order. So if I order a bean burrito, for example, and I want to make it fresco, and making it fresco means it's just going to remove ingredients that are typically higher in fat, and it's going to replace it with fresh pico de gallo. So that it's a really, really quick and easy way to lower calorie and lower fat in almost anything that you order off the menu. So it's a very quick, convenient tool you can use when you're ordering online or through the app. And we just launched last month a make it meatless button. So
okay, cool.
Quick click of the button, you can just swap any meat for beans on almost any order too. So it's a quick way to go, meatless.
Right. Oh, and the rise of plant-based proteins. I mean, it is everything.
Exactly. And we have 2 plant-based proteins that you can pick from. We have black beans and we have our pinto refried beans too. So great options.
Fantastic. Good. So obviously, I mean, customer feedback, you mentioned, there's probably an entire team dedicated to customer trends, algorithm, data at Taco Bell that helps you with your job and strategy. How involved are you, Missy, and your team with getting, like if a customer sends a menu request to Taco Bell, does it actually end up in your department, or are there other gatekeepers involved? What's that process look like?
Oh, yes. Actually, they come straight to my inbox. So
I love that.
Yeah. So my team and I receive all consumer inquiries related to food and nutrition and packaging. And so, yes, we get those straight into our inbox and we answer every single one. So,
okay, that keeps you busy, huh?
It does. It's really quite fascinating though, because you start to see trends with whether it's when we have a certain promotion or just in general, like there's definitely a certain trend that we see happening with our consumers. And so that's part of how we listen to them as well. So I actually have a really great story about how we listen to our customers through this.
Right.
This feedback is a few years ago, we had a cilantro rice and it was certified vegan. And we wanted to we heard from consumers that they liked our old Mexican rice before. So we were wanting to improve it and make some changes. And we thought, we wanted to add some butter to it to make it a little bit more savory and delicious. And so we created this seasoned rice, but we added butter to it, which made it vegetarian and not vegan. So what happened is we started to soft roll it into some restaurants, so just a few restaurants in the system. But our vegan fans, who are very loyal,
right,
very vocal, reached out to us and were not happy at all that we had switched our cilantro rice, which was vegan, to vegetarian. And I tell you, I don't remember, but there was quite a few consumer requests that came through to switch the rice back to vegan. And we got hit with so many inquiries over a couple of weeks that it got escalated very quickly to our executive team. And we made the decision to very, very quickly change the rice back to vegan. Great. And that was the quickest turnaround I had ever seen done with Taco Bell. I think within 2 months, we had reformulated the rice, took out the butter, made sure the flavor was still the same, and put that back into restaurants, and it went national within a couple months. And so our vegan fans were very happy.
I bet. I love hearing that. It's very heartwarming to hear that, these giant companies. You said earlier, Missy, 7,000 restaurants, over 7,000 restaurants in the United States. Okay. Yeah. And you're listening to the customers and you're acting upon the customer feedback. I mean, that's very noble. And that's exactly what we want as Taco Bell fans. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. It was, that's important to them. And we didn't realize what an impact that was going to have, but we heard them and we listened and we reacted.
That's cool. Yeah, well, you know what? And that kind of comes back to what you said at the top of the show with Taco Bell being more than a restaurant, it's a lifestyle brand,
Right.
and have that when you are able to create, a culture in and of itself, the way Taco Bell has. I mean, people, it's like, food is culture. Taco Bell is part of their culture. And so, yes, they're going to be vocal and say, bring me back that rice. And then how cool.
The
Yeah.
definition of nutrition too, which is that emotional cultural aspect of food where
Mm-hmm.
people have that
Mm-hmm.
connection and it needs to mean something to them.
Yeah, what a great story. Great example of your corporate culture, your definition of nutrition. I mean, totally comes full circle right there, you guys. I love that story. So Missy, I mean, obviously you and I met at a produce industry event that was organized and hosted by the Produce Marketing Association. I know you're an avid advocate for PMA, heavily involved member. And how would you describe the produce industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the produce industry obviously is full of fruits and vegetables in various forms, and they're all nutritious in any
Mm-hmm.
form that they come in, whether it's fresh, frozen, canned, or cooked. I think a lot of times we think of produce and it only coming in the fresh form, but obviously that's where it starts. But it's important to eat fruits and vegetables in any variety to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So starting with that, because I think it's important that produce can come in many forms. But it's also amazing to watch how produce is handled from farm to fork. I don't think many people realize what it takes to grow produce like lettuce or tomatoes. And
Right.
for most of us, we're used to going into a grocery store, especially out here in California, and we can walk into a grocery store at any time and produce will always be there. It might be
Right.
different across the US depending on where you live, but
Well, I think that availability and food security is pretty universal, to be
right.
honest with you. I mean, I live here in the Midwest, about as far as you can get from our primary growing regions for fruits and vegetables. And yeah, I mean, my produce departments, in my opinion, look just like the ones when I'm in Salinas, California.
Right.
One of the most high production regions of produce in America. And
Yeah, that's
I
where most of it's
completely
grown.
agree with you, though. I mean, it is truly amazing how accessible fresh produce is to us all, but also that learning curve. I don't think very many folks understand where it comes
Right.
from.
Yeah, and when I saw you a few weeks ago at PMA, I had the opportunity to visit a few produce fields, and I had visited a few prior to that with some of our suppliers. But really, it's been a couple years since I've been out there, and just to see the advancement in technology and how they distribute labor and the attention to detail and food safety that goes into the production of produce from every aspect, from growing it to harvesting, it's astonishing. And it's
Yes.
amazing the amount of work that goes into it.
Yes.
It's quite
Yes.
impressive.
I
Um,
completely agree.
yeah, and then looking at how they're producing once they harvest the produce and then they start manufacturing it. Just going back to the consumer, we really like convenience, and
Mm-hmm.
now that's really pushing the produce industry to do things to make fruits and vegetables more convenient for us to eat, like cutting them differently, bagging them differently, so that it's easier for us to cook with and to maintain this healthy lifestyle.
Right. Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the produce industry. I mean, the produce industry as a whole is a great example of what it means to be sustainable, which is part of Missy's job title. And it certainly is a special place. It's the place I've called my career home for almost 15 years now. And there's a ton of people that are, I know today's show, you're really hearing Missy's passion. You're hearing mine, obviously. The industry's full of people who are as passionate as us, you guys. And it's truly an amazing place to, call your work family, say, hey, I work in the produce industry. There's so much pride that I have in that. And it's wonderful that our industry continues to expand and bring in professionals that maybe aren't they aren't exactly a direct role within the supply chain. They're not necessarily just growing it or just selling it. It includes professionals like Missy and myself who are doing different types of work to help increase the consumption of fruits and vegetables really everywhere. So I absolutely love how you answered that, Missy. It was just kind of curious, how someone with your title and the different types of cross industries that you're undoubtedly involved with as, a manager of global nutrition and sustainability at Taco Bell. Just was totally curious how you would describe the produce industry, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Love it.
But that's actually a really good segue. If I can just add one more point to that.
Yeah, please.
Because you mentioned increasing or helping to increase the consumption of fruits and vegetables in all forms. And actually, one of my first projects at Taco Bell was the development of what's now called the Power Menu.
Love it. Raise your hand if you're a Power Menu fan.
There's many out there. I'm so happy. So this Power Menu features bowls and burritos under 510 calories with over 20 grams of lean protein. But with the introduction of this menu back, I believe in 2012 or 2013, we not only improved a lot of the produce on our menu, like we reformulated the pico de gallo to change it to this beautiful lemon dressing, but we also introduced new produce items to our menu. So we added romaine lettuce, we added black beans. And with the introduction of this menu, we increased our fresh produce offerings by 175 million pounds per year.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Right. So it's really, I love going back to that stat because we added new ingredients to the menu, which is a very, very hard thing to do in the fast food space.
Sure.
That's sustained permanently on the menu for this number of years. You have to have the velocity and the consumers to purchase these items to keep them on the menu. We've been able to do that for this long, and it's really impressive. And I love hearing that stat because, again, when you think about the sheer number of people that come through our restaurants every week, and how much more produce we're offering them and how much they're actually buying, that's where that impact comes from.
That's right. Hey, and it's not nutrition until it's eaten.
Exactly.
How many more pounds of produce was that again?
So we increased our fresh produce offerings by 175 million pounds per year.
That's unbelievable. Wow. Totally a fine example there, Missy, of work that matters the most. That's what we always strive to do on this podcast, is showcase the people that are doing work that matters the most to support the increase of fresh produce consumption in America. You guys, that is phenomenal. I am blown away yet again with another Taco Bell stat. So, all right. So speaking of stats and things that are impressive, I mean, what do you think the next culinary trend is? Like, what's next on the Taco Bell menu item, or what you and your team are kind of mulling over right now? Can you shed light on that? Are you allowed to say?
I can give you a broad perspective.
Cool.
And it's very appropriate with the topic that we're talking about today, which is produce, because I really think the next culinary trend is plants. And it's this plant-forward, plant-based movement. It's also catering to this lifestyle that people are following called being flexitarians, which is really, people who are basically one day I want to eat meat, one day I want to eat this way, one day I want to be a vegetarian. So they're constantly switching up the way they eat. And this is a very largely growing segment of people. So
that's what I am.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are. And while the bulk of Americans are full meat eaters, what I'm starting to see happen more and more, and a lot of the conferences I've been going to, it's showing that the biggest dietary shift we're seeing is full-on meat eaters wanting to move to flexitarian style eating. So what that means is less red meat and more plant proteins.
Right.
So, but it doesn't mean that people are shifting to become vegetarians. They just want to eat. They want to eat meat less often.
Right. Eat more plants.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're starting to, and since we have our certified vegetarian menu and we're really focusing on vegetarian style eating, we're starting to really hone in this area and understand, okay, well, what do our consumers want from us when it comes to flexitarian style lifestyle, or, what other choices can we offer this group of people? But this is a growing group of people. So we're starting to look at what this will mean for us. Right now, they seem to be happy with our 2 plant-based proteins, but the key thing that we have to remember is what else they want from us in the area, and that while we know consumers love meat and they love the taste of it, they also want to be healthy, and plant-based works, but only if it's craveable. So it's going back to that taste. Whatever we do has to taste amazing. So this is where we think the majority of consumers are headed, and it's growing super fast. So we have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, exciting times for fresh produce and fruit and vegetable aficionados like you and I. It's
very fun. And it's, it's an interesting area too, because I think going back to, meat most of the time always tastes really good. And the tricky part is making vegetables and plants taste just as craveable. So it's a really fun challenge to have, and we are having a lot of fun with it.
That's great. Now I can't wait to see what comes up. I know it's going to be brilliant, like all your other home runs in the past. So
hopefully.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, in closing, I got to ask, what's your favorite thing to order at Taco Bell? The gal who's, in charge of the global nutrition, sustainability, the menu maven. What do you get when you go to Taco Bell?
Well, I have the luxury of pretty much eating at Taco Bell every day, because I sit on the food innovation team. We're on the second floor where the kitchen is and where all the magic happens. So I'm always in there eating something new that someone's working on. But if I think about the menu, if I was to walk into a Taco Bell, I'm a little biased because I developed it, but the power menu is pretty much my go-to for choices. And I get the bowl. But I customize it with shredded chicken. I love our shredded chicken. It's delicious. It has this nice sauce on it. It's super yummy. So I always get shredded chicken. And, again, very appropriate with this topic, but I love all of our produce and our plants. So I get the bean burrito, but I call it the souped up bean burrito. So I add fresh pico de gallo. I keep the cheese because I really love cheese.
Right.
And then I ask for it grilled because I love my tortilla grilled. Okay. And my favorite hot sauce is Diablo because it's the spiciest.
Okay, so you're one up on me. In the pre-show notes, I said to Missy, so are you a fire sauce addict? But I am on team fire sauce. Maybe I'll up the ante today and get a Diablo sauce and order that burrito, that customized burrito that you just described. Sounds amazing.
Great. You might have to try the Diablo. I might convert you.
I know you might. I'll let you know. I might actually also have to start. The next thing I'm going to be asking you about is how do I get into that test kitchen? That sounds like a Taco Bell fan's heaven.
Right, it is. And Lori, of course, you always have an open invitation. We love having our guests come over and check out what happens in the kitchen. So anytime that you're out in California, let me know.
I will. Thank you so much. You guys, I don't know about you, but I'm off to Taco Bell to get lunch. I mean, what an awesome episode this has been. Missy, I cannot thank you enough. Our guests always have the last word, so please close out today's show and tell everyone thanks for listening.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed talking with you, and thank you for having me again.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.